much. It's an honor for me having you as a part of the show, and I'm really interesting, and I'm looking forward to hear more about Ternio. I just heard some good news. Congrats for that, but we will cover it a bit later. Okay, so please, thank you again for accepting my invitation. And please, can you tell us what is Ternio? How did you come up with the idea of creating Ternio, its novelty, and how can Ternio technology empower companies?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. So Ternio is at the core. We're a crypto. We're really a blockchain enterprise company, and we provide interoperability between cryptocurrency and blockchain, which is really just a modern infrastructure, right? Modern technology, and we make that interoperable with the systems that have been around for 50 years in the banking and fintech systems, ACH and wire or IBAN, SEPA, for example, which is used in Europe. So we're really trying to bridge the gaps between the old technology and the new, and we're also as a platform. Right, so we're not just like everyone knows Revolut. Revolut is focused strictly on as a consumer model, right? They're their own brand. We have our own brand, BlockCard, getblockcard.com, but we provide a white label platform for other fintechs to onboard and use our infrastructure that we've spent millions and millions of dollars on, and they can use our infrastructure for a global solution, and that's effectively where we found our mark, and it's going really well right now.
Great, thank you. And what about Ternio Products? I have seen your website, I heard the news, you have a very variety of products, and especially the block card. I would really love to hear more about it, and also whomever will listen to the program would love to hear more about it. And I would say it's only allowed in USA. Are you willing to expand maybe in other areas? And also how people can use it, what are the benefits, and so on?
So it's a block card, which you can check out at getblockcard.com. So we are live presently in the United States, but we are integrating in Europe right now. And we will be live in Germany, we'll be live in the UK, we will be live in France and Italy, Switzerland, all of these countries. So we will have a MasterCard program out of the EEA, and we will have a Union Pay program that we'll be working on for countries around the world. So it's actually going to be very significant because we will have the ability in terms of what is it going to do and how does it help people. Number one, we have bank accounts. People will be able to send money through a wire, or in the United States, they have ACH. In Europe, they have SEPA. So in Europe, we'll integrate SEPA in phase 2 probably. But you will be able to have a bank account. It'll stay in, effectively digital money. You at that point can send money across the world. Somebody in the other, if we have a block card, and this is also a white label platform that other brands can have their own brand on, but let's say you wanted to send money to India. Well, if we have a card in India, you're sending money across the world in 2 seconds for no cost, and that person in India will get access to a card that they can use on their phone with Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay while they're waiting for the physical card. So you can do remittances in country, out of country. It's just real time. If people want to withdraw their own funds to their own personal wallet, I kind of get offended by the fact, if you think about it. So banks, right?
Right.
So banks perform an important service, but they're holding your money and they're making money off of your money. Now, if you want to withdraw funds from the bank, they charge you money for that. It's your money. And they're like, well, I'll give you back your money, but you got to give me something in return. And that's kind of offensive to me, actually. Because it's like, no, it's my money. Give me my money. So you will be able to withdraw your own funds digitally, no problem. Now, if you want to go to the ATM, there's still a fee because we're still working with the traditional systems where there will be a fee, but that's not because that's what we want. That's because that's how the banking system operates. We're trying to give a fully functional experience where if you want to spend your money, you can. You want to buy cryptocurrency, sell cryptocurrency, pay bills with cryptocurrency, transfer funds anywhere in the world, spending it, like I said. So really, to me, it's like the future of what money is and what money is going to be. And I think we're at the forefront of solving that problem in a way that a lot of companies right now, frankly, nobody is.
Just a few hours ago, you posted that Ternio is a Visa Fast Track enablement partner. Please, congrats, and please tell me more about it.
So it's actually a really big deal from our perspective because obviously, Visa's best in class in the world, right? They're one of the most well-known fintechs in the world, payments companies, and for us to be an enablement partner, what that means is that when a company is approved through Visa and they have showing potential and they want to have a program, they will send them to one of several companies to help them take that wish and turn that into reality. Some of those companies right now are Stripe, which is obviously very well known, Marqeta, Green Dot, Crossword Bank, some really big players. And that's been really big multi-billion-dollar companies that are enabling that capability for Visa and Ternio. And so our specialty obviously is then bridging that gap between the cryptocurrencies and the real world, right? Fiat and cryptocurrencies. But when Visa has, and we already have people that they've sent us, but when Visa has these fintechs, they send them to us and they say, hey, Ternio, can you help so-and-so company with a Visa program? And that's exactly what we're doing. So it's great because it's good for business. It's great because I think it obviously elevates our brand and demonstrates that we are a very credible and well-respected and vetted company. And so this is just something we're very proud of and humbled by. And it's my goal to make sure that we execute this on a global level at a very high execution rate. So that's our expectation, and I'm very excited about it.
Great, congratulations again. That's really a great news. And what about the Tern token now? What's about its utility? And I have it's a question divided in two, so maybe I will speak a bit slower. So Tern token is a Stellar blockchain. Mm-hmm. Why Stellar in the beginning? Like, maybe it was faster and cheaper for the comparing to the other platforms, and also you burned a part of your token to Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, let me explain that.
Why was this move? Why was this move?
So let me explain that. So
thank you.
First of all, why the Stellar blockchain? So when we originally launched the Tern token, we could have, the Ethereum community is so much more robust. It's a bigger community. There's a lot happening there. And we could have probably, we essentially started the company based on raising funds from the sales of our tokens, right?
Yeah.
So we could have done that. We've raised a lot more money if we chose an Ethereum as our token, just because the community is so much broad, bigger. But Ethereum, for all of its benefits, the smart contracts, it's still expensive with gas fees, particularly now with DeFi. I paid $20. I know somebody paid like $100 in gas fees. There is no world where Ethereum today is going to be a better, cheaper, faster solution than what's out there with the centralized solutions with banks. I would much rather go with a bank than to ever have to continually pay $20 per transaction every time I'm doing something with Ethereum. That's insane. And I don't think that's going to solve a problem. So Ethereum solves many problems. It's all about the right use case, but it doesn't work for payments. So we chose the Stellar blockchain because, like I said, you can, first it's faster. So it's nearly instantaneous. I mean, it takes it could take a couple of minutes, it could take a couple of seconds to send money across the world, but there is no blockchain presently faster than Stellar today that we're comfortable with. Okay. The second thing is the gas fees are very minimal, so we don't have to charge people money for withdrawal or transfer. So if, let's say, for example, you wanted to send money to India, well, the Tern token, which is where the store of value happens, you send that to somebody in India or Mexico or Germany or wherever, and I don't have to worry about paying a fee for it. So I can actually have a cheaper solution that's scalable and at infinity. And it's actually, to me, that solves a lot of problems. Now, the way I view the tokenomics about it is that if you think about what happened with Bitcoin, Bitcoin was building a community starting in 2009, and it was still very small in 2010, 2011, right? Who wouldn't wish that they went back and started with Bitcoin in 2011? And so for us, what we're building is a real community of people who are utilizing. It's all about the utilization of the asset. What we decided to do was to burn 100 million of the XLM tokens, providing more scarcity for people who have the XLM token, but also in order to reach out to the broader Ethereum community, instead of having 100 million XLM tokens, we now have 100 million ETH tokens. But that allowed us to get onto decentralized exchanges like Uniswap. You can't put a Stellar token on Uniswap. It's Ethereum-based tokens only. And if we only had an XLM-based token, we would never reach out to a much, much broader community of people. So from our point of view, the ETH token is a way to reach out to this community to get to be more globally known, and that also benefits the users of the XLM token, because now not only are there 100 million fewer XLM tokens creating more scarcity, but also you're driving more utilization of the XLM token, because when people eventually sign up for getblockcard.com, they're also utilizing the term XLM token, because that's what we use for faster payment solutions. So I'm very optimistic, and I have a very positive worldview, and I really understand the tokenomics about the future of the term token. I think we're so accustomed in cryptocurrency to these get-rich-quick schemes that exist. Yeah. And what we've tried to do is to build a real community with a real utilization of the asset. And then we believe that in time, that on its own will it'll become its own thing. And we're very excited with that when that story happens in the future.
Great. And is Ternio facing any challenge now, currently? And if yes, how are you planning to tackle it in a way?
We're growing really fast. And so like the size of our team has doubled this year. We're profitable. We're going to be raising some more money in the beginning of next year through the SEC, through what's called a Reg A. If we had a problem, the problem we have is we're still a small company. We have a laundry list of things that we want to accomplish, that we know we need to do, that we want to do. It's going to be work. It's like being so excited about, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And what ends up happening is you have to prioritize what is most important to you. And because we aren't the size of some of these other competitors where we've got, $1 billion in a bank. So we have to be very careful with how we approach our innovation and our expansion of our services. So the biggest challenge we have is that we really do have to prioritize what we do, and then we have to execute it well. And sometimes what happens is you have multiple priorities, you got to distill them down into the most important, and then you've got to execute them very, very well. So I'd say that's probably the biggest, most important thing we can do, or that we're doing right now, but that definitely is the biggest challenge.
And where do you see Ternio, maybe in 2 or let's say 5 years, in goal achievement, idea development, and maybe the position in the crypto market?
Well, I think we're going to be a multi-billion-dollar company, and I think we're going to be a public company. That's Great. What I think, and I really mean that. We're scrappy, for people who undervalue or maybe don't take it seriously enough, the hard work we're willing to put in. Like I can get by with less than our larger competitors, and we are willing to do whatever it takes to win. And so for these large corporations that have gotten fat and happy, and they have a real problem because they've got their business model is predicated upon higher fees, or some of these challenger banks, or other fintechs where they're dependent upon being able to raise more capital from somebody else in the future because they keep losing money. Yeah. I honestly think we're going to be a dynamo that's going to be very, very hard to stop, because we are not dependent on anybody. We are self-funding by our own business thanks to our amazing customers. And I think that in 5 years, I think just as PayPal was a small company at one point, and who would have thought that they had a chance to do well, and versus all of the major companies that they were competing against, and they went into a space that was not very well known at that time, and that was the internet. And the internet was something that people were fearful of. Sound familiar? And so for us, there's a lot of companies that are fearful of diving into cryptocurrencies, and I think that the fact that gives us a huge advantage. And by the time they figure it out, we're going to be so far ahead in so many different ways. They're either going to want to try to buy us, or they're going to have a real hard time competing against us. That's what I think.
And thank you, Daniel. I was hearing you very carefully, and you said that so many companies have fear of cryptocurrency. I know that you have an extreme knowledge about this field. Maybe can you tell us why even big companies have fear of to enter into the crypto world? Why is that?
Well, the regulations are not quite clear for some. And so let's say you're a very large company and you're doing multi-billion dollars. Well, there's several problems. Number one, they're afraid that it could cut away at their core business model because how do you make money on it? That's a problem for a lot of companies. They're like, okay, well, how are we supposed to make money on this? Problem one. Well, okay. Problem two, even if like, let's say you're JP Morgan Chase, which is of course a huge company. If you were to jump into cryptocurrencies today, it wouldn't make any kind of impact on your business, you know, other than the use of the technology. So they're really struggling around, you know, does it even make any sense for them to get into it at this point? The third issue is around the risk related to, well, if we're dealing in cryptocurrencies, maybe they're worried about money laundering or any regulatory compliance elements, not understanding that there's so much fraud in the banking system today. And I think that cryptocurrencies are actually a much cleaner way of interacting in funds, whereas in the banking system, it's actually very messy. There's a lot of fraud there, and I feel a lot more comfortable about tracking and tracing bad transactions or things that are like you can use a third-party analytics company to determine with a pretty good sense of comfort whether or not the money is associated with bad elements, right? So you can actually say, okay, well, this came from this wallet or this had this sort of behavior. We're going to limit the transactions for this wallet because it appears to be something that could, associated with like nefarious actions.
Yeah.
You really can't do that in the banking system as well. So I just think they're a little afraid of it. And so when you get to it, when they say there's finally clarity in the regulatory space, right now there's a lot of question marks. When they finally get there, they will have already missed the whole marketplace.
Exactly.
They will have missed it. And so that's where we have that advantage. It's like the fog of war, and we're taking advantage of the fog of war.
Best of luck. Great. And Daniel, we spoke about cryptocurrency. Now I'd like to talk about blockchain.
Okay.
What is blockchain for you? And I just wanted your personal opinion and why it's very important for many companies or maybe projects to develop, or even in the days that we are living. Why is blockchain important?
Well, it's fundamentally, first of all, it's a more modern technology rail. Number two, it's fundamentally a peer-to-peer, and it's encrypted and it's peer-to-peer. So you don't require a third-party gatekeeper to be involved in all elements of transaction, whether that be data transfer, it could just be data, or it could be value transfer. But you're really talking about cutting out unnecessary intermediaries. I do believe that blockchain is going to be very transformational for a lot of things because it's going to allow for, unlike the existing systems we have today, blockchain is the underlying layer, and I think the cryptocurrency is what sits on top of that blockchain, right? And so the blockchain is transferring data like this. Blockchain is transferring data back and forth, and then if you wanted to, you can allow for through electronic smart contracts, you can allow for the value transfer to happen as well. So once you see data passing back and forth, you can have decision making happening based on smart contracts that allow for the transfer of funds. And so what you're really talking about is automating processes. So blockchain is going to be really important because you're going to be able to automate a lot of things that we have not been able to automate in the past. And if you think about corporations today and just running a business, and what happens is you've got your operational data over here, right? So operational data, the things that you keep track of for your business, and then the money you make happens over here. And then what you have to do is you have to take the data, the money you make, and you take the operational data, and you have to find a way to sync those two up to make them connect, to say, okay, well, do these numbers match up? And then now you have some vulnerabilities. So you have to spend a lot of money on security to make sure that you don't have any potential for being hacked or other things. Blockchain is a more secure mechanism that avoids having to have data here and data here. It literally is an interoperable, integrated data sets together that is secure. So you're spending less on security, you're spending less on manual verifications and manual checks, you're doing a full automated set of systems. It is a really transformational thing. Now, it's going to also displace a lot of people. There are many industries of people who have jobs today, and their job is to check things and to make sure things are good. They're the equivalent of a much better paid warehouse worker when they used to have a lot of people working in these manufacturing lines. But what do we know is the manufacturing lines today are mostly robots, and there are some human beings that are there, but the robots are doing most of the work. And I think what you'll find is that the next wipeout of jobs, unfortunately, is going to come from well-paying jobs that are manual office work, and those jobs are going to go away, and you're going to have some people, but those jobs are going to be displaced because a lot of the functions that they do are going to be automated.
Automated.
That's what I think the future is now. That doesn't sound like a step forward. It scares the heck out of me, but it is going to happen, in my opinion.
Great. And if people want to learn more about blockchain or they are interested in blockchain, what should they do first as a move?
That's a great question. Well, I would say, before I tell you what I would do, I would say that, remember, when you say the word blockchain, that is like saying, like, for me to say I work in blockchain technology, it's the same as me saying, well, I have a method of transportation at home. Well, what does that mean? Well, I have a car, or I have a bike, or I have an SUV, or I have a plane, or a boat. There's a lot of methods of transportation, or a helicopter. If I told you that I had a helicopter, you wouldn't think it was the same as a car. You would say those are not the same things. It's not the same thing as a boat. A blockchain, there are many kinds of blockchains. So they are you can't just put a rubber stamp and say, well, they're all monolithically the same and all blockchains are the same. That is not the truth. There are many kinds of blockchains. There's a version of a boat, there's a version of a plane, there's a version of a car, So where are you going to learn about blockchain? I'd say the internet, but be careful, because when people inevitably start to promote these digital assets, just understand that there's a whole world of people who are promoting things, getting paid to promote, and they don't necessarily disclose that. So do your own due diligence, really be careful about what you're deciding. But to learn blockchain technology, your best bet is probably going to be something more along the lines of going to a Deloitte or some of these other large auditing companies that do research projects on things. Somebody who's not trying to sell you something, where they get to the core around a particular use case. Because that's the other thing, is blockchain is this underlying technology that can be used in any number of a million kinds of places. So it really does come down to, well, let's say I work at a mortgage company, my specific solution may be better suited with an Ethereum type of blockchain because I deal in mortgages, as opposed to something with like a stellar blockchain. And I'm going to learn about that more through probably someone like a Deloitte, or even an IBM, or some of these other folks that are larger. They're going to put out these research papers that are going to be very well documented and well respected.
Thanks, Daniel. And as the founder and CEO of Ternio, what's your message, or maybe an advice also that you would like to give to the audience?
I think that the future of money is digital. It's already digital today, but we're talking about being on a more modern track with more rights than we've ever had before. And so I guess my message would be that it's an exciting time. If you don't own Bitcoin, then you're making a big mistake, in my opinion. People don't understand Bitcoin, but I think it's really phenomenal as a store of value. And I would just say that if you don't understand this technology and you think it doesn't relate to you, you're wrong to think it doesn't relate to you, because it's not a matter of if you're going to be working with blockchain-based digital assets. It's just a matter of when. And so it's better to learn now. And I wish that I knew about Bitcoin in 2010, 2011, but I was like, that's crazy. That's, digital, what, Bitcoin for $70 or whatever. I was like, that's insane. And look for, I wish now I knew more about it. Just to understand that it's really about the technology. It's not just the volatility and the investment. It really is this underlying technology that's going to change the world.
Thank you. And is there anything else that we did not cover during our conversation?
No, I really appreciate you having me here. If you want to learn more, you can go to ternio.io. That's our website. And, follow me on LinkedIn. You do. I'm always posting about stuff on LinkedIn. So that's
Thanks, Daniel. It has been a very insightful, informative conversation, really, and I enjoyed it. And
yeah, me too.
Thanks a lot. And I really wish you best of luck to you or your team. Best of luck, a lot of success going forward. And hopefully we keep in touch and I will have you again as a part of the show, maybe in the future. And we can discuss more about future development of Ternio and so on.
You just gotta hit me up anytime.
Thanks a lot, Daniel.
Hey, it was nice to meet you.
Thanks, and nice to meet you too. And I hope we keep in touch and we can talk again.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Daniel. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.